The sun sank low over the Wyoming horizon, painting the prairie gold. Wind brushed through the tall grass like whispers of old stories, tales of men who came west searching for land, peace, or redemption. The land didn't give those things easily. It demanded sweat, patience, and sometimes a piece of your heart. Luke Kerrigan had given all three. He stood on the porch of his weather-worn ranch house, his broad shoulders resting against a post, hat pulled low to shade the weariness in his eyes. Behind him, through the open door, came the quiet murmur of children's laughter, 5 of them in all, each one carrying a different memory of the woman he had lost. His late wife, Clara, had been the gentlest soul he'd ever known. 2 winters ago, the fever took her, and since then, Luke had kept the ranch running and the children fed by sheer willpower and grit. He wasn't looking for anyone new. Life had taken that hunger from him. But life had a strange way of sending things your heart swore it didn't need, until it saw them standing there. The mail wagon stopped at the gate that evening, raising dust in the amber light. The driver waved a gloved hand. Beside him stepped down a woman, tall, graceful, wearing a simple travel dress, the color of soft wheat. Her hair caught the dying light, and in her hands, she carried nothing but a small carpet bag and a worn Bible. Luke didn't move. He just watched as she approached. The sound of her boots on the dirt road, steady and sure. "Mr. Kerrigan?" she asked softly. "That's me," he said, his voice rough from years of wind and silence. "I'm Abigail Moore." The name stirred faint recognition, a letter from Reverend Watson months ago, mentioning a woman in need of work, a teacher looking for a place to start again. He hadn't thought much of it. The schoolhouse had burned down in town, and the children on the ranch could use learning more than the sound of a hammer striking fence posts. "Reverend said you might need a teacher," she continued. "I can work for room and board. I'm not expecting much." Luke studied her, his expression unreadable beneath the brim of his hat. "You'll find plenty of work here, Miss Moore. My kids need learning, but I warn you, they're wild as spring coyotes." A small smile curved her lips. "I've taught wilder." Inside the house, the children peeked through the window. Wide-eyed and whispering, Luke turned his head slightly and called, "Out here, all of you." They poured out like a small herd, Thomas, the eldest, at 11. Then Eli, Samuel, Ruthie, and little Rose clutching her rag doll. Abigail knelt down, meeting them at eye level, her smile patient and warm. "You must be the Kerrigans," she said. "I'm Miss Moore. I'll be teaching you for a while." "Are you going to live here?" asked Ruthie, bold as sunshine. Abigail nodded gently. "If your PA says I can." Luke felt something shift inside him then, the way the children looked at her, the way her presence filled the air with calm. For the first time in a long while, the porch didn't feel so empty. That night, after supper, when the children had gone to bed, Luke found Abigail sitting on the steps outside, looking at the stars. He walked up behind her, a quiet figure in the dark. "You come a long way," he said. "From Missouri," she replied. "There wasn't much left for me there." He nodded slowly, understanding too well. After a long silence, she spoke again, her voice soft, as if it carried a secret she'd kept too long. "There's something you ought to know before I stay here any longer, Mr. Kerrigan." Luke folded his arms, waiting. "I can't have children," she said. "The doctor told me years ago. Thought you should know," in case she hesitated, eyes fixed on the dark line of the horizon. "In case you were expecting more than a teacher." Luke's jaw tightened, not in anger, but in thought. The lantern light from the window brushed across his face, showing the quiet steadiness of a man who'd seen too much to be surprised anymore. Then he smiled, slow, genuine, with a warmth that reached his eyes for the first time in years. "Good," he said simply. "I've got enough kids for both of us." Abigail blinked, a small, stunned laugh escaping her. "You don't even know me!" Luke looked up at the sky, then back at her. "Maybe not yet. But I know kindness when I see it. And these kids, they could use that. I could too." The wind sighed across the prairie, carrying the scent of sage and dust. For a moment, they just sat there. Two people who'd lost too much, finding a strange kind of peace in the quiet. Abigail looked at him, then really looked, the worn strength in his face, the gentleness hidden beneath it. She saw not just a cowboy, but a man who'd kept going when the world told him to stop. "I'll stay," she whispered. Luke tipped his hat slightly. "Reckon you should." Inside, the children stirred in their sleep, dreaming of new mornings. Outside, the stars burned bright over the ranch, as if heaven itself had paused to watch the first stirrings of something new, something healing. Because sometimes family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when the dust settles. And on that quiet Wyoming night, beneath a sky wide enough to hold all their broken pieces, a cowboy who'd lost everything found hope again, not in promises or plans, but in the soft voice of a woman who thought she'd run out of second chances. If you felt the warmth of this story, hit that subscribe button and stay with us for more heart-touching Western tales, stories of love, courage, and the frontier spirit that still rides with us today.